이 동영상은 힐리코리아에서 출처하여 KBS 그룹에서 만들어졌으며 힐리코리아 시장 활성화하기 위해 편집되었습니다. KBS 그룹장은 한종호 사장님으로 되어 있습니다.
In this section of the coaching module, you can optimize your existing partnership or get practical hints to find a suitable partner. It is furthermore useful to perform an analysis in the information field if you are looking for new impulses and ideas in your relationship, want to realign yourself mentally in order to deepen your partnership and make it more loving, or take the responsibility for a successful relationship into your own hands and want to harmonize your own imbalances as a first step. As focus texts, these offer themselves approximately. I have integrated my emotional injuries from old partnerships. I am at peace with myself. I give thanks for the ideal partner in my life. I am lovable, I love, and I am loved. I recognize my personal needs and challenges while being able to establish a deeper relationship with my partner. I fully accept my partner with all her strengths and weaknesses. In this application example, we want to deepen, vitalize, and realign Max and Elizabeth's partnership after 3 years of marriage. We therefore decide to use the last focus sentence. In doing so, we want to address a well-known problem in relationships that can creep in under the following circumstances. The initial euphoria of the relationship is over, and the subjectively perceived character weaknesses become more and more noticeable to us in everyday life. They cloud the relationship dynamics to such an extent that affection and harmony diminish, and the relationship is strained as a result. Of course, these weaknesses are not only a part of every person, but your partner also reflects your own weaknesses to you. Therefore, a healthy self-reflection and an open and self-critical contemplation of one's own character profile are the basic prerequisites that should precede the subsequent analysis with the coaching module. Personal weaknesses should be accepted and integrated in love with oneself as well as with a partner. After we have entered the focus here, we select from the database options the database trust and self-love and altruism, and select 3 results per database for the analysis. We thus get a list of results with 6 entries, which is sufficient for the detailed interpretation. Please remember that too many results can be overwhelming and confusing. You should always be aware of the following basic rule: as many entries as necessary, as few as possible. As a result, we then get a list for interpretation with the entries sorted by default in descending order of relevance. We take a closer look to the top 3 entries in particular in the following. With 84% relevance, the first entry from the trust area shows up. This is about letting go, getting involved in the flow of life. This entry is to be understood as a hint to take the heaviness, the urge to act, and the negativity out of the current situation. Not to force anything, and to pay attention to signs that manifest themselves as decision support in the relationship. It is at the same time a call for acceptance of the partner's weaknesses and anchoring in the divine primal trust that the accumulated negative energy in the relationship will dissipate over time. However, the intensity of 2 here indicates that we should confront Max cautiously with the subject of this entry in the conversation at the moment. It may be that he is resisting entering the letting go process. He is, so to speak, emotionally not quite ready to work on it actively and sustainably. It may also be that the primal trust is a sore spot in Max's life, and that it also makes itself felt in other life situations. We therefore approach the topic slowly in our conversation. The next highest urgency we find in the area of self-love and altruism, with a reference in the desired state to a lack of faith to start a positive change process in the relationship through sufficient self-love. But only the one who can love himself is attractive for his partner and thereby shows him exactly which qualities he can find lovable in you. A person who does not love himself sufficiently and shows this to his partner directly or indirectly does not seem quite attractive and lovable. If you show your partner your personal incompetence and unlovability on a daily basis like this, the partner has no chance but to believe this attitude. Also, this entry is connected by an intensity of 10 with a very high confrontation ability. This means that we cannot only speak openly about this with Max, but also point it out to him empathically in conversation. The third entry with 71% relevance indicates a lack of contact with the soul. The soul of a human being, according to Far Eastern traditions, is what we are in reality, our individuality and personality, which is not coupled to our body and thus not temporary, but of an eternal nature. You may have heard the expression "in this world, but not of this world." Lack of contact with this spiritual aspect of man can express itself through the outward-looking and materialistic way of life. If one is not connected to oneself, one seeks necessary life energy and joy superficially in other things and people. This can degrade a partnership to a community of purpose of two needy people, but not elevate it to a loving and harmonious symbiosis. This entry gives us a hint to put the spiritual needs more in the center of the relationship and to balance them with the psychological and physical needs. This topic can definitely be addressed more strongly in the conversation with Max, since there is a higher readiness for confrontation, which can be seen in the intensity of 7. If we finally look at the potencies, a complete picture emerges with regard to Max's relationship theme. The third entry shows us a possible foreground course with the 1D potency in the highest relevance, whereas the 6th list entry is a foreground effect or consequence to it. So in practical interpretation, it could be that Max, due to a lack of contact with his spiritual truth and reality, is too attached to entrenched structures in the relationship, struggles excessively and inappropriately for freedom, and seeks an increased urge for recognition from his partner. These basic dispositions cause tensions and imbalances in a relationship, which can be harmonized by practical implementation of spiritual principles. Here we can see very simply and clearly the cause-effect principle in the relationship dynamics in the list. We therefore disregard the LM potencies for the sake of clarity. These would only be included if there were no D or C potencies in the list, so we don't have any obvious cause-effect principles present. Of course, you always have additionally the possibility to include background causes or consequences shown as LM potencies for the interpretation. However, it is not advisable to overwhelm yourself or the client in the first step. So concentrate on the essential aspects first when interpreting. It is easier for a person to remember few but valuable points and to put them into practice. The number behind the potency at the third entry gives you additionally the hint that here the core topic is not yet tangible. It will therefore still need time to work to establish the contact with the spiritual values in Max's life. On the other hand, the last list entry, which is the consequence of this, is already tangible and quantifiable. The themes fight for my freedom or struggle for recognition are reflected in real terms in Max's and Elizabeth's relationship.